Thank you very much. Today, I must wish you a happy new year, one. And second, I must thank Liberate for making us interact with all of you. In God we trust, all others must bring data. I would be spending around 35 to 40 minutes on two pandemics, COVID 19 and obesity. And I bring greetings from Institute of Minimal Access, Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery and Institute of Robotic Surgery, Sir Gangaram Hospital and Bhatia Global Hospital and Endosurgery Institute. Why are we concerned about COVID 19 and obesity, two pandemics? I will be asking the questions myself and then responding back so that the common thoughts which all of us have been aware for last maybe 9 months, they will be discussed, and then we'll be finding a correlation between the two pandemics, COVID 19 and obesity. All of us know what is COVID 19, coronavirus disease, and it was started in Wuhan, first identified in Wuhan in China. It was a novel coronavirus. That means it is a new virus and it has never ever been identified in human beings. But most important aspect which I want to share today is that even if last 9 months or so, all of us have been having, and world over, so much of news has been there about how it spreads, how it affects, how the elderly people should be taking extra precautions, how the comorbid patients should be taken extra precautions. But still, I would say, after even 9 months or 10 months, it is still novel. That means a lot of uncertainty is still there, and you can never be certain that how is it going to behave in the future. Many of us have seen the rise after the first case was reported in December 2019, and in March 2020 the WHO had declared it pandemic. And it basically, it is a collision of two pandemics. Why are we going to spend some time on this collision of two pandemics? Is because obesity aggravates COVID-19, and other way around, that severe COVID-19 patients, it was found even in US, in UK, in Italy, wherever the deaths were there in the initial phase, the patients had a higher BMI as compared to lower BMI. The deaths, the people who were dying or who were having severe COVID-19 infection, they were having a higher BMI. And it has been calculated that the hazard ratio for death in class 3 obesity is, that is, if the body mass index is more than 40 kilogram per meter square, is of the order of 2.28. Means, for example, if somebody is non-obese, then the factor will be 1, but if the BMI is more than 40, the factor will be multiplied by 2.28 times. What is commonality between the COVID-19 and obesity? The obesity is a pro-inflammatory condition, and it is associated with high levels of prothrombotic factors, including angiotensin 2, and this is also elevated in COVID-19. Initially, most of us know that the ACE, angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors, so the receptors were there, and this virus protein definitely goes and has the affinity for ACE2 receptors, And this is definitely more in patients who are having lot of adipose tissues, and especially the peripheral adipose tissue or even the central adipose tissue. And then they lodge themselves into the virus lodges itself into the adipose tissue, and this becomes a portal for viral invasion. Means the viral loading is more in obese patients, and viral shedding is also more in obese patients. And once the virus is getting onto the receptors, ACE2 receptors in the adipose tissue, then when it gets released slowly and steadily, it affects heart and lung. And these patients, especially obese patients, if the viral load is more, then the shedding is more, then the lungs and heart are more vulnerable to virus attack. And it has been thoroughly studied in last few months, and lot of publications have come that the risk of exacerbation of COVID-19 is of the order of 2.31 if the person is obese. To add to it, if the patient is having diabetes, then the risk of exacerbation is of 2.61. And if the patient is having hypertension, then 2.84. And we know that obesity is basically a metabolic syndrome. Obesity does not live on its own. It has the comorbidities. And initially, when all of us started our bariatric surgery way back in 2000, then we were bothered much about the weight loss. Then we will do the surgery and the weight loss will be there. But lately, it was realized that when we do the bariatric surgery, the weight loss surgery, the sleeve gastrectomy or gastric bypass, then the comorbidities, that means diabetes, hypertension, sleep apnea, heart disease, joint pains, backache, and so on and so forth, they also carried on decreasing after the bariatric surgery. And again, those patients who were obese, they were harbinger of many other diseases. And that is the reason that now obesity surgery is not called as just an obesity surgery or a bariatric surgery. It is called as a metabolic surgery. Means the metabolic comorbidities which are associated with obesity, patients are having obesity, diabetes, hypertension, and so on and so forth. So if you can now imagine that if the person is obese, the risk factor is of the order of 2.31, and if the patient is having accompanying all other comorbidities, it gets multiplied by these factors. That means the chances of death are definitely higher. And this was a beautiful presentation by Barry Popkin from University of North Carolina. And they found out that if the patient is obese, if the BMI is body mass index is more than 40, as I mentioned, then there are 113% higher risk of hospitalization. And if, for example, if the patient is hospitalized as compared to normal weight person, then the chances of death are also increased, and it is of the order of 48% higher risk of death. And this was published in JAMA November issue of 2020. What I mean to say, in a nutshell, I would always emphasize that please, we should request our patients, we should request our relatives that this is the time, COVID time, which we have got in our possession. One should definitely spend lot of time on health improvement. Even if somebody is obese and one takes a pledge that he or she will reduce a weight of 10 kg or 10% of the weight, except the weight which one is having, the chances are that the chances of dying or chances of affected by the coronavirus are going to be decreased. So thinking is that, please, I do not want to frighten anyone, but I definitely want to give the numbers in which it has been studied that the patients who are obese vis-a-vis those patients who are having normal weight, 113% higher risk of hospitalization and 48% of higher risk of death is there. And Barry Popkin had beautifully written that if you contract the novel coronavirus, then you have more than double the likelihood of going into the hospital if you are obese, and 50% more likelihood of dying. And these two statistics really shook me, and they have done an excellent study. And in this study, they have done a meta-analysis of, can you imagine, 399,000 patients, lot of patients, and this was reviewed in August issue of Obesity Reviews. And again, they found out that 74% chances are increased, or they are more likely to be admitted in ICU. And as I mentioned, 48% more likely to die after the COVID infection if the BMI is more. Now, initially and today, till date, why US is heading ahead with the mortality? Why people are dying more in US as compared to even India? Because the Americans have higher BMI than those from China or other countries, and the prevalence of obesity in US is of the order of 42.4%. And again, out of these, 9.2% of the people are having grade class 3 morbid obesity. That means BMI more than 40. So higher the BMI, higher the chances of getting into the hospital, higher the chances going into the ventilation in ICUs, and higher is the chance of death if the BMI is increasing. So one should be very, very careful that we should not definitely land into onto ventilator or onto death. And the patients age 50 and younger with severe obesity had a 36% higher risk of death compared to their normal weight peers. When this pandemic of COVID-19 had started, the warnings given by WHO and CDC were that the patients or the persons who are more than 60 years, they have to be more cautious, and their chances of developing the complications are definitely higher. But lately, all of us have realized that no, even those patients who are more than 50 or who are having comorbidities, they also have a higher risk of death. And the patients who are having comorbidities like heart disease, interstitial lung disease, or lung disease, or diabetes, or those patients who were, for example, on chemotherapy or they were cancer survivors, their chances of getting infected with COVID-19 are definitely high. So one should be very cautious. And again, after maybe 3 or 3.5 months of suffering of COVID, then the studies came out that no, these are not only the risk factors. That means heart disease, lung disease, and diabetes are not only the risk factors, but BMI also remains a strong independent risk factor for severe COVID-19 infection. So one should definitely make sure that our patients also understand, but before the patients, we as doctors, as healthcare providers, we should understand that there is a sinister combination of two pandemics, COVID-19 and obesity. Now, why do we say that these are associated, or the obesity is a risk factor for COVID-19 patients, because as I mentioned, the viral load will stay into the adipose tissue, and then is this adipose tissue, because already the patients of obesity are having a immunocompromised state, and now another insult has been added because of the virus, and then the what happens is the cytokine storm occurs in the body, and that cytokine storm due to inflammation in adipose tissue, that causes patients to suffer from reduced lung function, and this can trigger the death. And lot of presentations have been there in of cytokine storm. It involves the lungs, for example, pneumonitis, the CT scan findings, all of us know so much of CT, even it leads on to fibrosis, then liver, then the kidneys and vascular phenomenon. So many organs are involved, and that can lead on to cytokine storm, and that ultimately has a cascade effect, and that leads on to the death. So this is beautiful publication in obesity effects, and it talks about that obesity and COVID-19 are the two sides of the coin. So one should be cautious that we know what is happening in the body when the COVID infection is there. For example, it has been classified in this publication about that there are biological factors and there are social factors. Both these factors have the impact of obesity and COVID-19 infection. And for example, as we discussed, the biological factors are that adipose tissue ACE2 receptors, they become a port entry for SARS-CoV-2 virus. And then because it is a pro-inflammatory disorder, the cytokines and low-grade inflammation, the immunity is already down, the pathogen defense is already down, and then it has a chance of pro-thrombotic factor, and that leads on to the impaired ventilation and obesity hypoventilation. Can you imagine? Even the senior most surgeons in New York hospitals, they were given the duty of just making sure that the prone ventilation is done for those patients who are having COVID-19 and morbid obesity. Means already these obese patients had lot of compromise on their lungs. And if the COVID-19 also gets into the lungs, then the ventilation is impaired and hypoventilation is there, and that leads on to the thrombogenic phenomenon, and that leads to metabolic complications and ultimately the cardiovascular diseases and ultimately the death. And again, the social factors were also important. For example, when the person was having the COVID-19, those patients who were obese, they were not able to even reach the hospital because they have not moved out of the bed, or they have not moved out of the room for ages, for days and days together, even before the COVID era. And that also leads on to the chances of dying from obesity and COVID. The stigma was definitely there, and that these are the social factors that one had to take into account for taking care of these patients. And as all of us know that when the H1N1 infection was there, then the chances of increased viral load, the increased shedding time, decreased immunity from infection. And again, I want to stress this aspect of decreased vaccine efficacy. Means those patients who were having obesity, if they were given the influenza vaccine, the effect of influenza vaccine was definitely less as compared to normal weight patients. So we were not sure whether this vaccine is going to protect them as much as the normal weight person is protected, and that gave us lot of lessons. And again, now we know that in 2021 we are talking about vaccination. Again, we have to be very careful that what is the dosage for the morbid obese patients, so that they develop the antibodies, they develop the immunity in an immune compromised state, and ultimately help the COVID go away. And again, lessons from COVID-19 studies are that there are chances, increased chance of acute respiratory distress syndrome. As I mentioned, 113% increased chances of hospitalization, 74% increased chances of ICU admission, increased in critical needs, and 48% more chances of mortality in those patients. Again, touching on to the vaccination part, this was a beautiful editorial which was published in one of the obesity journals, which has a lot of impact. And this was published in the March 2020 only, that vaccine efficacy of great concern is that those, as I mentioned, that even if the influenza vaccines were given to these patients who were morbidly obese, they still had the chance of getting greater incidence of influenza or influenza like illness despite being vaccinated. So we are not sure on this date that if the patient is obese and if we give them the vaccination of any make, I'm not going into the details of the makes, but still, is it going to produce the immunity in those patients same way as in normal weight patients or not? And the previous past history has taught no, it will not give the similar kind of the immunity to the patient. In conclusion, I must say that we should be bothered, and we should definitely make our people understand that please do take all the precautions. Mask, all of us know, it is the vaccine. I would say this is the most important. Even if when we are going into the hospital for working, we have been operating day in and day out, but we take so many precautions that we take N95 mask anytime and every time we are going into the hospital. One, we make sure both in Gangaram Hospital as well as in Bhatia Global Hospital that any and every healthcare worker and even the patient who is visiting the hospital definitely is supporting the mask, and he or she is not wearing the mask in a political manner. What I mean to say, it is just a satire. I am saying that most of the politicians, they go in for their photography, and the newspapers also carry those photographs, and the mask is covering their neck rather than covering their nose or mouth. So our thinking is, there are the people or healthcare workers or guards in the hospital who make sure that the mask is present onto the nose and the mouth, and it is thoroughly covered, and then only temperature check is done, and then only they are allowed to go into the hospital. One. Second thing is social distance maintaining. This has been very important. Even if we are going to hospital or even to into the wards, or we should make sure that people understand that this social distance is of 6 feet is very important. Third aspect, and I call this as SMS, social distance, mask, and sanitation. This sanitation of the hands is also of utmost importance. As surgeons, we have been trained to wash our hands before seeing the patient, after seeing the patient. But now in last 1 year, all of us have become, I would say, fanatics about using the soap and water after touching any surface, and we are taking all the precautions. And similarly, we should teach our younger lot also that nothing like hand washing, nothing like using a sanitizer when we are dealing with any patient. Again, many times in these kind of webinars, I have been asked that as a surgeon, what other precautions one should take. We always get the COVID test done, that is RT-PCR, not only the antigen, but COVID RT-PCR done within 48 hours of the projected time of surgery. What I mean to say, if, for example, if the patient has been investigated thoroughly and there are no comorbidities or there are challenges which have been taken care of, then we request the patient to go in for COVID-19 test, RT-PCR, and next day when the report comes, then we say, now you can be admitted to the hospital within 48 hours of the COVID test, and then we operate. There are situations, for example, my wife is a gynecologist. She gets those kind of patients who have come into labor, and for those patients also, we definitely tell them that please get the RT-PCR done. And if the emergency cesarean has to be done, then the antigen has to be negative. Then only we do the normal delivery or cesarean. So our thinking is one has to take adequate precautions. One. And one should, if we as leaders of healthcare are taking adequate precautions, then only we will be able to tell our patients also to take adequate precautions too. Third thing is that if the person is obese, be it a doctor, be it a nurse, be it a healthcare worker, or any other patient also, please inculcate into their minds that there is a sinister relationship between COVID-19 and obesity. So set a target, set a goal that in next 3 months, you are going to reduce 10% of your body weight. Then once the person is able to achieve that 10% weight loss, definitely he or she will be benefited a lot, even if he or she contracts COVID-19. And if one is able to attain that 10% weight loss, then again one should aim for another 3 months to go in and do an adequate exercise of 45 minutes. And then one should always take care of the diet, which can build up the immunity, and that will lead on to, chances are that we will be able to survive through this period of COVID-19. Again, I must request you all as physicians that please take care that adults with obesity are more prone to COVID-19 infection and its complications. And adipose tissue is rich in angiotensin converting enzyme 2, that is ACE2 receptors, and the SARS-CoV-2 goes into these cells in which these receptors are there, and because of the higher number of adipocytes in the obese patients, this leads to greater viral load and prolonged viremia. And if the viral load is greater and if it is prolonged, then the chances of complications are definitely higher. And if the adipose tissue is less, I am repeating this again and again. Why? Because I want that this should get into sulci and gyri of our brain, that please take care of those adipocytes, please take care of the viral load, please take care of the chances of going into the complications. And increased visceral adiposity results in the efflux of pro-inflammatory cytokines. And this because if there is a cytokine storm, and that will contribute to the mortality. So one should be very, very careful. Again, we know that obesity also interferes or alters the immune function of the body and susceptibility to infection from different pathogens. Similarly, COVID-19 also affects the immunity of the patients, and that can lead on to challenging situations. Obesity is associated with procoagulant profile, means when we operate on these obese patients, we always give them heparin or the anticoagulants. Why? Because they are having a thrombogenic profile. That means they have a tendency of increased thrombosis and increased embolic phenomenon. And if this COVID-19 is also added on, initially it was thought that COVID-19 affects the lungs and it leads on to pneumonitis and it leads on to the further complications. But lately it was found out that this also is a thromboembolic embolocogenic virus, and it also is a procoagulant. So once the obesity procoagulant state is there, once the COVID-19 procoagulant state is there, so they ultimately mingle with each other, and that leads to cascade of events, and that leads to more chances of infection. And obesity is associated with decreased pulmonary function and including decreased expiratory reserve volume and respiratory system compliance, which may place those patients who are having persons with obesity at a higher risk of COVID-19 complications. So in conclusion, I would sum up my presentation by telling this, that please be careful. The lot of doctors have died on their duties when they are serving the humankind. Lot of patients have died, and ultimately it has been seen that the maximum number of deaths which have occurred throughout the world, even in US or Italy or Germany or all other states or all other countries, has been that there is a strong correlation between obesity and death. So a million, and Joseph Stalin had beautifully said that a million deaths is a static, but one death is a tragedy. Means that if any of our family members or any of our team members gets infected by COVID-19, and we have been closely treating these kind of patients with along with our physicians, that it becomes challenging, the fear is too big, and there are situations, and we have lost our friends all over the country and all over the globe who have been affected by COVID-19. So again and again, with my folded hands, I would request you, please stay safe, please take extra precaution. There is a safety in more safety, and again and again emphasize that please try to reduce your weight. If you are able to do it on your own, nothing like it. If you are able to do it by dieting and exercise, diet plays 70% role, exercise plays 30% role. So take care of that balance. One, if you are not able to decrease your BMI from 40 to 35 or to 30 and so on and so forth, then please take the help of the surgeons. We are doing the bariatric surgery, and in this the weight loss starts, and many of the complications of obesity as well as the COVID-19 are definitely they reduce once the patient goes in for bariatric surgery. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thanks a lot. Now, I must say that Team Liberate is doing an excellent job, and they have given us the opportunity to interact with you all. So any questions, if you want to place, you can pass on to us or to Liberate, and then they will pass on to us, so that ultimately we are able to answer. Thanks a lot. God bless you all. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Parveen. It was an insightful session. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. Just a moment. So as I can see, there